Welcome back, gamers, to another episode of the Gaming Corner podcast, sponsored by RU Gaming Corner. I am your host, Eric, and today we are going to take a deeper look at the marketing campaign strategies that video game consoles use to drive sales. I thought that this would be a perfect time to discuss a topic like this due to the fact that the next generation of video game consoles have just released this week. That being Microsoft's Xbox Series X and S, as well as the Sony PlayStation 5. But before we go any further, I would like to remind all my viewers that all of this content and more can be found at www.rugamingcorner.wordpress.com. So without further ado, let's get straight to business. It's been an interesting week to say the least. Firstly, I think it is important to congratulate both Microsoft and Sony for their successful console releases, because without them, life would be a lot more boring. So a big congrats goes to them. Now, as my viewers already know, I'm a huge supporter of Microsoft and I've stuck with Xbox through thick and thin. Honestly, I have owned every generation of Xbox console to come out. But many of my viewers ask me why. Why would you support Microsoft over PlayStation for so many years? You know, some of my friends have PlayStations and some of my friends have Xboxes. There is a clear division between gamers who pledge allegiance to their console of choice. But the question remaining is why? Why would we support one console over another? Well, today we are going to analyze the marketing strategies that brands use to influence purchasing decisions. I have a few books and articles found in academic journals that will help us understand exactly how our decisions are impacted when purchasing a new console. The first major factor that influences a buyer's decision is their community. Many times, people choose a video game console which their friends also have. This is because people enjoy playing video games with their friends. Multiplayer games, which are played online, typically require the same console to be able to play together. According to a research article from Cennamo and Santalo, quote, consumers place a higher value on platforms with a larger number of users, unquote. This is because of a number of reasons. I think that popularity and technology adoption rates make it easier to make a purchasing decision. If a majority of a person's social group chooses to play on a specific console, then they will follow because they don't want to feel left out. People flock to where their community goes. We have seen this in other instances like social media. For example, how people migrated from MySpace to Facebook. People want to be included and don't want to be excluded. Another reason why the community affects purchasing decisions is because companies like Microsoft and Sony have subscription-based services like Xbox Live and PlayStation Plus. These subscription services are required to play games online. They also offer additional benefits which are unique to their respective consoles. A subscription to Xbox Live also yields customer 3 free predetermined games per month, expedited access to some content like game demos and betas, and exclusive deals on games and other content. Similarly, PlayStation Plus offered 2 free games a month, premium features such as SharePlay, which is the ability to share your screen, and access to exclusive deals on the PlayStation Store. These subscription services are important to consider when purchasing a console and also solidify their branding through these communities. The second marketing strategy we will be looking at is exclusivity. This is the concept that one brand will have games and features that are only available on that particular console. In the book, Thinking About Video Games, Interviews with the Experts by David Heineman, he interviews Ed Fries, who was the vice president of Microsoft Game Studios from 1986 to 2001. Fries explains that he was responsible for securing, quote, established development studios such as Rare and Bungie to become first-party developers exclusively for Xbox, unquote. These studios would later go on to create some of the most well-known games in history, such as Donkey Kong Country and Halo, respectively, which were only available on the Xbox console. This created further division amongst consumers because it meant sacrificing community for exclusive games for a specific console. People would have to choose between their favorite game developers or the ability to play with their friends. This is exactly what started the console wars. Let's say that you really like the Halo series, but all of your friends own a PlayStation. I'd say you're going to have to make some new friends with Xboxes. It's a cruel reality, but it is truly a struggle, you know? The concept of exclusivity has grown since then into a much larger issue. The article from Cennamo and Santalo discusses how developers are able to lock in, quote, sweetheart deals, unquote, which are used to sway buyers' purchasing decisions. This means that console makers create exclusivity deals with game developers for early access or exclusive content. We have seen this marketing strategy used in games such as Call of Duty, with early access to map packs and game modes. Or, my personal favorite, Red Dead Online, which has time-based exclusivity deals with PlayStation to receive content before it comes to the other platforms. In all honesty, this strategy is influential but at the same time the most controversial. This marketing strategy leaves a detrimental impact on the gaming community by causing division amongst gamers. Consumers have to weigh these factors, sometimes sacrificing community for exclusivity. In my opinion, this is quite a complicated situation. As I said before, many people buy a gaming console because they want to play with their friends. Consumers have to ask themselves whether they would like to play with their friends or for the games that they anticipate and enjoy. One challenge that consumers face in this situation is that these marketing deals can be made public long after the release of a console. If consumers are innovators or early adopters, they might not have this information at the time of their purchase. This could cause buyer's remorse in consumers and leave them unsatisfied or upset. In my opinion, these practices cause a negative impact on the gaming community. I think one exception to this is how the company Nintendo implements their exclusivity. Nintendo is a staple in the gaming industry, known for their lineup of first-party titles. These include massive game franchises like Mario, The Legend of Zelda, and Pokemon. In my opinion, these are more than just exclusive titles only available on Nintendo consoles. These games in particular are what creates the foundation of the Nintendo brand. I mean, can you imagine what Nintendo would be like without the representation of our favorite plumber? These games clearly define what it means to buy a Nintendo console. Consumers know and expect the kind of games that will come from Nintendo, while Xbox and PlayStation only have a few titles that truly represent their brands. I mean, Nintendo is in the process of making Super Mario World theme parks across the world, with one coming to Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida by the year 2023. This theme park is truly any Nintendo fanboy or girl's childhood dream, you know? And that's why I think that Nintendo is an exception to my hatred of exclusivity deals. The last concept that we'll discuss today is innovation. This concept revolutionizes the way we think about playing video games. Our average expectations of video games usually consist of physical objects like game discs or controllers. You pop in the disc into the console and the game boots up. You use the controller to manipulate the software to do what you want. Innovation, however, completely reimagines the way we play video games. The book titled Innovation and Marketing in the Video Game Industry, Avoiding the Performance Trap by authors Wesley and Barzak analyzes instances of innovation in the gaming industry. According to the works of Wesley and Barzak, the Nintendo Wii is a perfect example of innovation in the gaming industry. The Nintendo Wii is a video game console that replaces traditional gaming with motion control technology that are, quote, helping people to stay fit, facilitating rehabilitation, and creating new learning opportunities, unquote. The Nintendo Wii was popular because it was much different than contemporary video game consoles. It encouraged motion-based actions in games such as Wii Sports, where players could physically enjoy their favorite sports games. The game had bowling, tennis, golf, and even boxing, which required players to physically engage themselves with the video game. Holding the remote and throwing a punch in real life would mirror your character throwing a right hook into their opponent in-game. I mean, this was technology of the future. I think something special that Nintendo Wii did was bring people together. In the article titled Nintendo vs. its Competitors in Marketing Efforts from the Point of View of Customers by La Thi Gok Hao, they analyze Nintendo's marketing strategies throughout the years. The author argues that Nintendo Wii was marketed as, quote, playing games with the whole family, unquote, and that the name Wii sounds like the pronoun we, a clever play on words. The Nintendo Wii would become a very popular console over the course of its life cycle. I think that many families who wouldn't ordinarily play video games decided to buy a Nintendo Wii for this very reason. They would later come out with Wii Fit, a game about wellness and physical exercise. This game included advanced motion controls and a board that would measure a person's balance when they stood on it. Wii Fit was another innovation in gaming that really changed the way we think about video games. I think this is why Nintendo is so successful, even though their games do not compete on a graphical level. It just goes back to the point that people love and support Nintendo for their innovation. You know, many gamers will own an Xbox and a Nintendo console, or a PlayStation and a Nintendo console. This is because they want to experience the new innovative technology that is exclusive to a certain console. And that brings us back to a full circle where we started talking about why I like my Xboxes more than PlayStations. You know, I forgot to add Nintendo in the beginning, but I like them slightly under my Xbox consoles. The reasons why I like my Xbox consoles the best is because, in my opinion, they have these three concepts down to a key. Microsoft is all about community. With Xbox Live, you have access to one of the largest online gaming communities on the planet. The Xbox Live experience is all about making it easy to play and share content with friends. They also encourage users to make connections through the use of trending posts and groups. You want exclusivity? Well, we have exclusivity. Xbox has the massive franchise Halo. They have Forza Racing, the Gears of War series, and so much more. Microsoft offers Xbox Game Pass, another subscription service that is basically like the Netflix of video games. You can download and play any game from a huge catalog of games, but most importantly, Microsoft sometimes will throw new first-party releases onto Game Pass, so essentially, you don't even have to buy the brand new game. Lastly, Microsoft has innovation. Recently, we have seen progress on their video game streaming service, xCloud, with the ability to stream and play video games right on your phone from anywhere in the world. I think this is the future of gaming. We all enjoy our home consoles and the graphically demanding games that we have on them. But we spend so much time of our lives working and traveling. You know, people commuting on the bus or subway, they could just whip out their phone and pick up where they left off at home from their favorite game. Everything syncs. It's the future. I'm telling you, I think we will see more of this kind of streaming technology pop up in places more than we realize. This just gets me so excited to think about, and that in like 20 years, we will all probably be playing chess in our minds or something. But I digress. I think that just about wraps things up for our discussion today about an analysis of video game console marketing strategies. We discussed that three major factors can influence buying decisions, which are community, exclusivity, and innovation. These concepts are then utilized in strategies by console makers to drive their sales. Some of these strategies include inclusion, timed exclusivity deals, first-party exclusive games, and innovations in gaming technology. I just want to say that the opinions expressed in this podcast are my own, and you are free to disagree. And if you do, why don't you leave me a comment down below telling me how wrong I am, and we can continue the conversation there. But for now, that is all. If you liked what was shared here today and you want to hear more discussions like these, you can find them at www.rugamingcorner.wordpress.com. This has been the Gaming Corner podcast with your host, Eric, and just remember to keep on gaming.